Congrats, you just got through a hell of a crash course on oceanography and surf forecasting. I do not expect you to be an expert on any of it at this point. Like anything else, it's going to take a lot of practice and diligence on your part to make the vocabulary and the principles I've covered stick. Consider this course a loading dose. Just like when you take a certain supplement, you want to bombard your system with it in the hopes that some of it is going to stick. That's what this is. Like, you're taking tons in, it's too much, then you have to go through the practices, and it will start to stick bit by bit, and it will become a habit. Okay, how do we put it all together? You have your bookmark folder, surf. All right, this is what you do. You want to make that folder. Number one, make sure you have that on your phone and on your desktop or laptop. Keep a surfing journal. It can be a little pad like this. It can be an iNote, something. Every time that you surf, note the buoys, note the winds, note the tides, and also note whether you had fun, whether you were scared, the quality of the conditions, whether it was crowded or not. And, you can put it in terms of everything that is going to be listed here as well, if that's helpful. Okay. Check your local buoys. Always good to see what's happening right now. Go to my buoy folder. 3.6 feet at 5 seconds. Okay, what does this tell me? Well, there's a little wind swell in the water. Decent wave height, but this is a very small interval. So I can expect the waves right now to be extremely weak. I'm going to check that again before I go to bed. I'm going to check it first thing when I wake up in the morning, just to see what the actual reading here is. Next, check Wind Finder for blob movement. Advance over a week's time to get a general sense of the systems moving, or not moving, as the case may be, through your area. Determine the size of the blobs, distance from shore, and their general trajectory. Try to guess, based solely on blob movement, which days of the week will produce waves at all, produce what kinds of heights and intervals. Okay, I'm going to just run through that really quick here. I'm going to go over to Wind Finder, which I have saved. Make it nice and big. And I'm looking at this area, although I see blobs all over the world. This one is too far out to make any significant surf for me right now. It's got me located here, 2 p.m., Tuesday, May 16th. And this southwest wind is what is creating that buoy reading that we just went to. This is what's creating the 3.6 feet at 5 seconds. Local wind swell. We have this disorganized system that's being wrapped into this larger system out to sea. If I advance through the day, onshore wind gets stronger through the evening, which makes me expect there will be a little something to surf tomorrow. 11 p.m. overnight, we see that around 2 a.m. the system moves off the shore, which means that wind has blown enough over the water that there should be something residual to surf. What am I expecting? Nothing too big. And now I'm going to go fast over the week. What happens tomorrow is the winds come offshore. They blow the system out to sea, as I explained in the wind forecast. You can see those offshore winds. So I would expect Thursday, probably flat or very small. We see activity. We see blobs. Obviously, the most significant blob is up here, but this is not bringing us any significant swell. There's this blob up by Iceland that's maybe bringing this area of the UK some swell, but nothing really significant for us. Us being those of us living where I live here in New York. The same principles apply no matter where you're living. This blob might bring waves for northern Florida, and it might start producing surf for us Thursday, Friday morning. Something a little bit from the east. So there is a little bit of movement in the water. Friday's worth monitoring, but we want to check in with local winds. this blob is looking a little bit hopeful. So over the day, this is 11 p.m., we have a blob pretty close to us, which is good. Historically, New York favors swells that sit a little closer to the coastline. Saturday morning, it just kind of stays but hovers off a little bit. So Saturday, I'm thinking, again, this is not a very big blob. It's lighter green. There's no high winds in there that are going to produce very big seas. So I'm expecting maybe a little something to surf, just looking at this little something to surf tomorrow, Wednesday. Maybe not so good waves on Thursday, or like nice conditions but not great waves. Maybe something on Friday, local winds TBD. Maybe something on Saturday, local winds TBD. And maybe something still on Sunday, because this is slow moving. After that, I'm going to look at Monday, but it's still so far away. Monday is looking flat by this forecast. A lot could change between now and then. I will inevitably check this tomorrow. And now I'm seeing something try to form here. Yeah, so we see this blob formation forecasted for Monday. And that just got a lot bigger, making maybe surf on Tuesday promising. Okay, but no way to tell that's really far out. I just go through the blob movement just to get a general sense of what the week is looking at like. All right. Check Surfline. I use Surfline to measure your predictions against theirs. Look at their site for the social forecast. The social forecast is how crowded it will be based upon the website, how the website interprets their own data. When they say good to epic, the social forecast is usually crowded. When they say poor to fair, the social forecast is usually uncrowded. Look at their predictions of local winds, tides, and buoys. Remember that theirs are just predictions. You're looking at these just to see patterns in where your finer grained read of the forecast lines up and diverges from theirs. All right, so we will go to Surfline. We're going to go to the Rockaways forecast, which I think they've now it's always with the surf spot. Okay, tomorrow, the best day of the work week. Easing, so they're calling it poor to fair, which some people might surf because we've been having bad waves. It might be a little bit more crowded, even though it's not good to epic, because we just have had so little surf. But we can imagine that compared to like today, poor, anything that they start rating higher is going to be a little bit more crowded. And we are in line there, 1 to 2 foot. And if we see here, this is the window where they similar, you know, so we're in line. Thursday, possibly no surf. Friday, small. Saturday and Sunday, something a little bit to surf. And they are forecasting surf for the beginning of the work week. So we saw a little bit of that on there. We're lining up with Surfline. Then they have these predicted buoys. So they're predicting that tomorrow will be in the 2.4 to 2.6, 2 feet at 6 seconds range, kind of throughout the day, getting smaller and smaller as those offshore winds blow the swell down. Will the swell be 2.1 feet at 7 seconds? We don't know. This is a prediction. We have to check the buoys to know. They have their winds down here. So they're calling for north-northwest offshore winds, which is probably getting the port of fair rating. And so this is where their winds are. You can see that the little thing, we'll actually view it a little more, zooming in here. All right, so you can see here's their buoy predictions. Now, 3.8 feet at 6 seconds. So their buoys are correct for right now. Again, Surfline wavers in and out of accuracy. Right now, it seems highly accurate. That's great. But we're checking their predictions with ours. They are not always going to line up. Right now, they're lining up. The tides, they're pretty good with tides. So we see here that we have tomorrow a high tide at 6 in the morning. And New York has semi-diurnal equal tides. That means that every 5 hours and 45 minutes about, the tide switches from high to low, and the lows are very similar height, and the highs are very similar height. Not the same exactly, but very similar. Low tides at noon, minus tide, a little bit more extreme tides. and they have some of the almanac information here. Okay, so we're lining up with Surfline today, and we know the social forecast. Then we go for the local winds just to check again. And all of this takes what? We've been recording for 10 minutes. It doesn't take that long. Great way to procrastinate at work. Go for Queens, New York. All right, this is the rest of the day. Pretty hard from the southwest, creating that little wind swell. And everything is in accordance. There, north-northwest. Pretty strong. Is this too strong to like go check the surf? No. Worth checking. Might be a little chilly with all that north in the wind here. Then Thursday, northeast. And Friday, bad onshore conditions. We saw that there might be a little bit of swell. So that's something that like we have to monitor. Friday's like a maybe. And then Saturday is also a maybe. Kind of gross weather out. And this is that borderline onshore wind direction, but it's not that hard, but it could be a little bit harder. All right, so we're at 11 minutes. Now, on the day you plan to surf, the first thing you do is check the buoys. I mean, when you're in bed, grab your phone. Don't check Instagram. Don't check your emails. Check the buoys. They might be bigger or smaller, and this is important, especially if you're one of my clients. But even if you're not, once you keep your little surfing journal and you're doing this process of checking your local winds, checking those blobs for swell movement, matching those up with buoys, you're going to get this fine-grained understanding of your local surf area, and you're going to be able to predict waves way better. Or if you wake up in the morning and everybody's so excited to go to the beach because Surfline predicted to be good, and you wake up and you see a buoy reading that is either not that good or flat, you're like, nah, no. And everybody is going to go to the beach and say, oh, dang, I thought it was going to be good today. And you'll be a little bit smug because you're like, yeah, but did you check the buoys? Because if you check the buoys, you would see it didn't, or if you even looked at Windfinder and saw the blobs moving, maybe you would have seen that blob dissipate. So everybody got excited about this big blob that was supposed to produce waves, but you were doing this and looking at the charts, and you saw that blob dissipate. On the other side of the coin, you maybe went to the beach knowing it would be big, checked the buoys, and were like, whoa, I didn't know it was going to be that big. But I'm going to go because I just want to see. I'm not going because like I'm a pro surfer and I want to get tubed. I just want to see what the buoys look like, what the waves look like with the buoy reading like this. And then you'll meet people and they'll be like, wow, Surfline said it was going to be 2 to 3 foot. I didn't expect it to be this big. And again, you will have been doing this work and you would have seen that blob big and red and yellow close to the coast, churning out swell. And you would not be that surprised. You'd be like, yeah, like the swell was pretty big. And then I checked the buoy this morning. It was 8 feet at 12 seconds. Pretty big, expecting it to be big. And that's why you do this. That's why you get this inside info. So that the ocean will always surprise you. But if you can take out a few of the elements of surprise, you'll be more prepared to crush it at your surfing. This is the last video in the forecasting course. I hope this helps you out a ton forecasting for your local area. If you're a person who engages in one-on-one coaching with me in New York, the process for that is in another video. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching online, so video, review, fitness, diet, get in touch with me. I can help amplify your surfing game no matter where you are in the world. And happy surfing. Hope this helps.